Hello everybody and welcome to our webinar. I'm Keith Meredith and I'm going to share with you my knowledge of prepaid funeral plans and the other options that are available, and I'll give you 6 good reasons why we believe that we made the right choice. That's me. I'm Keith and I've been married to Joan for 45 years. We've got 2 fabulous children and 4 grandchildren. Pretty much everything that we do revolves around our family, as I'm sure it will be for all of you. My work history has been spent in financial services for over 40 of those years, so any financial product that we get involved with now gets a thorough workout, and I want to know all the ins and outs. You may have seen the video on our website, but for those that haven't, one reason why we decided that we needed to make some plans was when my mum died. My mum died 22 months after my dad. Their funerals were exact in every way, except for the cost had increased to such an extent that Joan and I worried about what would be the cost of our funeral when we pass. And whilst we hadn't got any plans to go just yet, and both sets of our parents had had a good long life, well into the late 80s and early 90s, if we lasted as long, we'd have at least 30 years left in us. What would be the cost of our funeral then? We really needed to check out our options. Now I've put some facts on the screen for you, and you'll see fact number 3. In 11 years the cost of the funeral has risen by 92%, so almost doubled in price in that period. And in 2031, which is just 15 years away, the predicted cost of a funeral will go beyond £11,000. It alarms me to think what price a funeral might be in 20 or 30 years' time. It really is a big worry. Here we have the average funeral costs across the UK as supplied by the Sun Life Cost of Dying report for 2015. I'm sure you'll spot where you are on the map and the sort of price that you can expect to pay just now. But what would be the price of your funeral in the next 10 or 15 or 20 years? You'll see that London has topped £5,000 in 2015. You'll also notice that there are other places around the country that are very likely to top £4,000 by the end of the year, and those figures continue to increase. Yes, our family means everything to us. When we go, we'd like to leave as much as we possibly can, so we've put a will in place to that effect. Would we want the money that we leave gobbled up to pay for our funerals? No thanks, that's not in our plans at all. And if we couldn't save enough, we wouldn't want our children to foot the bill. The average shortfall last year was over £2,400. Neither would we want our children to pay for our funerals if our estate got caught up in probate that delayed their inheritance. And this happens a lot. If there isn't a will in place, it can take months, even years. And even if there is a will in place, it can take some time. In my particular case, it took 10 weeks, and we wouldn't want to cause any hardship. This would be a bad enough time for them already, and we see what we've done as our last gesture. When I was growing up, death wasn't ever discussed. So when arranging our parents' funeral, my sister and I hadn't got a clue how they would want their funeral. Would they want to be buried, cremated, a religious service? Would they want mourners dressed in black, fancy dress? We hadn't got a clue. Now we think fancy dress would have been out of the question, but for everything else it was pure guesswork and hope that we got it right. It was tough at the time. We wanted to give them the perfect send-off. Now we've told our family, we've told them exactly what our wishes are, and we've put a plan in place. This is a story about a family that made a plan but didn't put it in place and didn't tell anybody about it. It's the family who were left to organise the funeral for their Aston Villa fanatical dad and brother. The son and next of kin, also an avid Villa fan, knew or believed that his dad would like to be buried in full Villa kit, and that the mourners should not attend in black but have some reference to his beloved Villa. Now the deceased sister, not a football fan, disapproved and family at war broke out, and she boycotted the funeral, her own brother's funeral. When the family were clearing out the father's home, they came across a photograph album, and inside that they found the dad's funeral wishes to be kitted out in Aston Villa kit. Now I can imagine the sister to be absolutely heartbroken now. Now we've planned our funerals, we've put a plan in place, and we've told our family, and the only thing that we've left them to do is to sort out the wake. Our research proved that we needed to put a plan in place, but what sort of plan would we want? What is available, and what should we do? So we considered that we had three options to choose from. One of those was our savings. Would we save enough? We don't really know, because we don't know when we're going to go, so we don't know how much our funeral's going to cost. And I could see that ending up being perhaps not enough, and our children ending up with a bill which we didn't really want to happen. And interest rates, of course, aren't helping too much either. And how long would it take for the monies to be released when we've gone? So we decided unanimously that our savings weren't an option. We'd only been eating into the inheritance in any case. So whole of life could be an option, but we needed to explore the facts. How much we need to pay? Well, that's an age-old question. One, we don't know when we're going to pass, so we don't know how much the funeral is going to cost. And to set up a whole of life policy, you either decide how much you can afford to pay each month, or you decide how much you want to take out of the plan, which determines how much you need to pay. And I also wouldn't want to be paying for any length of time, so how long would I need to be paying that money for? And does the money go to pay for our funerals? So the other option was prepaid funeral plans. And how is a funeral plan any different to whole of life insurance? Where does our money go? Is it safe? And can we choose how we want our funeral to be, and who we choose to do the funeral, our funeral director of our choice? And will we have to pay any more later? So here are some facts about whole of life insurance. The format is that you pay a fixed monthly payment into an insurance policy until you are 90 or until you die, whichever comes first. And the pros are that the money paid into the policy is 100% safe. It's a method of saving, and dependent on which plan that you choose, you might end up with a free pen from Parky. Now my concerns: how do you know how much to pay if you don't know how much your funeral will cost? That's that question again. And whatever you pay, you have to make those payments until you are 90 or until you die. Now the small print that you can see on TV and in magazines says very clearly that you must maintain payments every month up until you are 90 or until you die, whichever comes the sooner, and you may pay more into the policy than you ever take out. And another important fact is that the money paid into a whole of life policy isn't ring fenced to pay for the funeral. It will go into your estate, and it will take time to release that estate, leaving a bill to pay. So let us move on to prepaid funeral plans. And the format for a funeral plan is that you'll arrange and choose a funeral plan to suit yourself, and it can be paid for in full or on interest-free payments up to 24 months or longer terms if you require. And when the time arrives, the funeral that you've chosen is delivered and paid for. As far as the pros are concerned, money paid into a funeral plan is ring-fenced just to pay for your funeral, and the money doesn't go into your estate. And the funeral director's fees are price locked, So it doesn't matter when you go, the price of your funeral will not cost any more. In most plans, there is an allowance for third-party charges, so they could include doctor's fees, cremation costs, burial costs, minister's fees, or a celebrant perhaps. Now there is some variation, not massive, but it's a talking point for us for later on. And there's that potential to save thousands. In fact, if you remember the map that I showed you earlier, well, there are plans that cost less than any of the average prices shown on the map. So you make an immediate saving. And the monies that you pay go into a secure trust. It's 100% safe. You arrange how you want to go, including, if you wish, the funeral director of your choice. And there's guaranteed acceptance. So there aren't any awkward insurance type questions like pre-existing health issues. Have you ever smoked? What's your height? What's your weight? What's your inside leg measurement? None of those. And as I mentioned before, payments can be made in full or on fixed terms. Now, as far as the cons are concerned, you're not going to get a free pen from Parky. There are several funeral planning companies, very similar products, very little variation, but a big price range. In fact, you could pay as much as £840 more than you'd actually need. We just wanted to clarify a few more questions, and one of those was, where does our money go and how safe it was? Well, the money goes into a secure trust fund that is regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority and the Solicitors Regulatory Authority, and the money is 100% safe. And we also wanted to know whether we could use the funeral director that we've used before, and there's no problem. We've named them and their detail is built into the plan. Alternatively though, if you don't have a preferred funeral director, the plan provider will select one close to your home. But if the funeral director is retired or gone out of business, what would happen then? Well, you can be assured that no monies are ever paid to the funeral directors until they've completed their services. The monies remain in the trust until it's time to pay out. The funeral planners will liaise with your next of kin and make alternative arrangements with another local funeral director. And we wanted to know, was the plan transferable? So, if there is an unexpected death in the family that hasn't been catered for, most plans will allow you to transfer the plan to another family member. So in the event of that member of your family passing away, you should contact the plan provider to ask them to transfer your plan to be used to cover the recently deceased funeral. So when you're planning for the future, I believe that the prepaid funeral plans are the perfect product. In the 40 plus years that I've been involved in financial services, there haven't been many products that haven't felt the effect of stock market changes, pension rights, interest rates or the financial crash. But a prepaid funeral plan isn't affected by outside events. It does exactly what it says it's going to do. Now, Joan and I are very happy that we've made the choice that we have. Our children know exactly what we've done, and now we're going to get on with the rest of our lives for as long as we possibly can. I hope to go out with a real big bang, securing the knowledge that we've saved thousands. Here are the 6 good reasons why we chose a funeral plan. The price we paid for our plans is locked at that price. Our money is 100% safe. We've chosen exactly the way that we want to go. It is down in writing. We wanted to use the funeral directors that we used for our mum's and my dad's funeral. They've been requested. We have had a fixed term to pay the plan, now done for, thank you very much. It's easy to set up, no awkward questions, and I'm throwing an extra one in just for good measure. I want to go to my maker and say I've made a great saving coming here. So why use us? Well, firstly, we're not owned or tied into just one funeral planning company, therefore able to give unbiased advice. We've been selected to promote 3 different company plans, including the UK's lowest price plan and 2 other market leaders. We know that we'll have a plan to suit that can be paid for outright or on a payment plan, including interest-free. We're plan owners ourselves, so we've been exactly where you are now. We've asked the questions that you've probably been thinking, and hopefully I've been able to answer most of those. We're not a call centre on a sales target, sell at all cost. We're a family business that actually enjoy what we're doing despite the gloomy subject. The product is great. It does the job perfectly. We're open all hours, that's us. I've got a motto. If my eyes are open, well then we're open. If they aren't, leave your name and number and I'll call you back. The free phone number 0800 206 2234 redirects out of office hours, so don't worry about calling. That's the team. I'm the old man. That's Nick, my son. Is the father of 2 teenage daughters. He knows the full value of putting some plans into place. Would love to be able to help you, and you can call us at any time. So what do we do now? Well, our funerals are very personal to us. I expect right now that you've come to the conclusion that you need to put something in writing and a plan in place. And when you have, you're going to tell your loved ones exactly what you've done. The personal nature of our funeral is what you need to sort out now. Burial, cremation, religious service, humanist or green. How many cars am I going to need? How many people fit into a limo? Will the family use their own cars? Do I really need to pay for that? Probably not in some cases. Now we hold daily one-to-one surgeries, morning and afternoon, that includes early evening to help you answer those questions and put a plan together. We allow 20 minutes plus VAT per call, so there is some run-off time, so there's plenty of time to work out a plan to fit your needs exactly. The content included, how much third-party cover, the overall cost and the payment methods. Our webinars are very popular and take up for the one-to-one calls is equally so. As soon as this webinar is finished, an email will pop into your inbox with date and time slots for the next 2 days. We will call you back on your preferred number within the time slot that you've requested. Any questions you might have, I suggest that you write them down and ask us. We want you to be as genned up as we are. I very much look forward to speaking to you one-to-one over the next couple of days. Thank you very much for your time today and enjoy the rest of the day. Speak soon.